Sometimes the best answer to speculation is strategy. What really happened when Bianca Censori arrived at the 2025 Grammy Awards wearing an outfit that got the world talking? People assumed it was just another headline-grabbing stunt, but what they didn't expect was Kanye West's thoughtful reasoning behind it. Stay tuned because this is a moment you won't want to miss. The Dolby Theater in Los Angeles was buzzing with excitement. The biggest names in the industry had gathered, and as cameras flashed and reporters swarmed, the air was filled with anticipation. Celebrities mingled in their extravagant ensembles, dressed in designer brands, each vying for their moment in the spotlight. But no one was attracting as much attention as Bianca Censori. When she stepped onto the red carpet, the buzz turned into a collective frenzy. The paparazzi lenses zoomed in, the media tried to capture every angle, and within minutes, social media was flooded with images of her striking appearance. The internet was full of speculation. Was it a publicity stunt? An artistic statement? A sign of rebellion? Or was there something deeper at play? Kanye West stood in the center of it all, watching the reaction unfold exactly as he had expected. He remained unruffled, watching the spectacle with the confidence that only he could exude. It was not just about fashion. It was about power, influence, and a carefully orchestrated move that the world did not see coming. The moment wasn't just a singular red carpet appearance, it was a seismic shift in the way people perceived influence in the entertainment industry. Bianca's outfit choice wasn't just an aesthetic decision, it was a challenge to the status quo, an open provocation that forced the media and public alike to rethink their expectations. With the world watching, Kanye knew that their actions were more than just fabric and design, they were an idea, a conversation, a brand evolution. Unbeknownst to the audience, Kanye and Bianca had already discussed the impact of her coming out long before she stepped on the carpet. It wasn't impulsive, it was a calculated move that was meant to change the conversation around them. The discussion had started months earlier in a private studio meeting where Kanye outlined his vision for shifting cultural narratives through controlled chaos. "We don't just enter a room, we change the temperature," Kanye had told Bianca. "They think they see everything, but they only see what we allow them to." And he was right. Every camera flash, every stunned whisper in the crowd, every tweet and post dissecting her look was proof that they had complete command over the spectacle. The fashion industry, often rigid in its definitions of taste and acceptability, found itself scrambling to keep up. Suddenly, what had been deemed outrageous became the center of every discussion. When they stepped inside, the whispers only intensified. Journalists, influencers, and other celebrities couldn't stop talking about the moment. It wasn't just about Bianca's look anymore, it was about what it meant. Some called it art, others labeled it audacious. But the truth was, whether they praised it or critiqued it, they were all still talking. Sitting at a table, Kanye leaned back when an industry insider approached him, unable to resist the urge to comment on the situation. "Kanye, man," the voice was full of curiosity. "You knew this was going to be all over the headlines, right?" Kanye smiled. "That's right." The insider raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "So this was planned?" Kanye chuckled, shaking his head at how predictable the industry had become. "Tell me something," he said, his voice sounding calm and calculating. "How many brands do you see today that are making an impact? Not just showing up, but really changing the conversation?" The man hesitated, looking around the room. The designers had presented their best work on the carpet, but nothing had generated the same level of discussion. Kanye continued, his tone unchanged. "People are obsessed with controversy. They think they're criticizing, but they're actually promoting. They don't even realize they're doing exactly what I want them to do." The insider nodded slowly, it was starting to sink in. "So it's all about marketing?" Kanye tapped his temple, his smile widening. "It's about control. Perception. Attention. They don't know it yet, but every article they write, every tweet they post is free advertising." The insider sat back, processing Kanye's words. He realized this wasn't just about a red carpet moment, it was a calculated disruption. Kanye had positioned himself and Bianca at the forefront of the conversation, not by following trends, but by creating them. And the most brilliant part? The industry had walked right into his plan, willingly amplifying his brand without even realizing it. What happened that night wasn't just a Grammy moment, it was a strategic move in a larger game Kanye had been playing for years. The rules had changed, and Kanye was the one rewriting them. Meanwhile, across the venue, journalists had already begun drafting their headlines. Editorial teams scrambled to find the right angle, and social media users were engaged in heated debates. Some called it tasteless, others called it genius, but one thing was certain: everyone was talking about it. The night had taken on a life of its own, and Bianca Censori had become the epicenter of the discussion. At their table, Bianca glanced at Kanye, reading the amusement in his expression. She knew what was coming next. The inevitable rise of speculation, the interviews dissecting every detail, the brand deals that would follow. This wasn't just about making a statement. It was about shifting the landscape, forcing the industry to acknowledge that innovation doesn't always come wrapped in tradition. A well-known fashion critic approached, her voice laced with skepticism. "Kanye, you can't seriously think this is about art. It's just shock value." Kanye didn't flinch. "And what's the difference?" She blinked, momentarily thrown off. "Art is supposed to be meaningful. And what's more meaningful than making people rethink everything they thought they knew?" Kanye shot back effortlessly. "You see, the industry is stuck in a cycle. They praise the same looks, the same styles, the same brands. Then someone breaks the mold, and suddenly, it's controversial. But let's be real, it's only controversial because they didn't think of it first." The critic pursed her lips, struggling to counter. Kanye leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice just enough to make his words hit harder. "Fashion is supposed to push boundaries. The moment you stop making people talk, you become irrelevant. And that's the one thing I'll never be." The critic had no response. She turned, disappearing into the crowd, no doubt already planning how she'd spin the encounter for her column. Kanye leaned back, satisfied. He had played the game, and once again, he had won. The energy in the room had shifted. Conversations swirled, each voice louder than the last, each opinion more fervent. Some defended Bianca's look as a powerful expression of autonomy, others condemned it as unnecessary provocation. But the one undeniable truth was that it had become the defining moment of the night. The Grammys had been overshadowed by a singular, carefully executed act of disruption. Across social media, memes flooded the internet. Think pieces dissected the moment with various interpretations, and major fashion brands scrambled to capitalize on the discourse. The power dynamic had changed, not in favor of the award winners or the musical performances, but in favor of Kanye West and Bianca Censori, who had just orchestrated one of the most brilliant marketing moves of the decade. Social media lit up with debates. Some labeled it a spectacle, others called it a revolution. Hashtags dominated the trending lists: hashtag Bianca statement, hashtag Kanye vision, hashtag red carpet disruption. Online influencers weighed in, debating whether this was a new high point for artistic freedom or a ploy for attention. But whether they loved it or hated it, they couldn't stop talking about it. And in Kanye's world, that was the only thing that mattered. As the night came to a close, a journalist caught up with Bianca, microphone in hand, eager to get a final word. "What do you say to those who think tonight's look was just a stunt?" Bianca smiled, her gaze steady. "I say they just gave us exactly what we wanted." And with that, she walked away, hand in hand with Kanye, leaving the world to keep guessing, while they stayed 10 steps ahead. But the night was far from over. In the days that followed, the media storm continued. The morning talk shows dissected every angle, fashion designers released statements of admiration or critique, and rival brands tried to spin the moment to their advantage. Even celebrities weighed in, some expressing awe at the boldness, others attempting to dismiss it as an empty spectacle. But dismissing it was impossible, it was everywhere. Then came the follow-up. Kanye, in a calculated move, released an interview discussing the nature of influence, the evolving landscape of art and commerce, and the necessity of disruption in an industry that thrives on repetition. He spoke of how every great movement in fashion, music, and culture had been met with resistance before becoming accepted as genius. He even name-dropped historical moments of shock that later became revered as milestones in artistic evolution. That interview alone generated more engagement than some of the night's Grammy winners combined. The move wasn't just about Bianca's look, it was about establishing a new precedent. It was about cementing a legacy that stretched beyond music, beyond fashion, into something much more profound: control over perception itself. By the time the media cycle had moved on to another event, the impact of what Kanye and Bianca had done lingered. Designers had altered their approaches, discussions about celebrity influence had shifted, and once again, Kanye had proven that he wasn't just a participant in the culture, he was the one writing its script. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click on the bell to be the first to receive insider information.